Hey everyone, it's October 12th, and that makes my movie watching come out to an even dozen so far, I guess. Whatever. So my 12th movie for this 2016 horror movie marathon fest is Tusk, written and directed by Kevin Smith. And I'll admit, I'm a Kevin Smith fan. I like his movies. This stars Michael Parks, Justin Long, Genesis Rodriguez, Haley Joel Osment, and there is a special secret person in this movie. If you know who it is, then you know who it is. If you don't, and you haven't seen this movie, see if you can figure out who it is. Um, but yeah, there's someone, very good makeup job. Difficult to tell who this actor is, but I know who it is. Um, and it's a pretty big name. Just saying. So Tusk is wow, it's a weird flick. It's about this guy, Justin Long. He's got a podcast, apparently a very successful podcast. He and Haley Joel Osment's character do this podcast together, and Justin Long, I guess, travels around and just talks to people with weird stories. But he's kind of a dick. I mean, he's a dick. Not even kind of. He's a dick. Um, he goes up to Canada to talk to somebody. That doesn't pan out. So he doesn't want to have wasted his time and money, so he's looking for something else. And he finds this flyer from apparently some old guy that has all these stories about adventures out at sea and all this stuff. So he goes to meet this guy, and things turn out to be not what he expected. And I don't think I'm giving anything. I wish I had the box in my hand so I could look at what the back says. I don't think I'm giving anything away when I say the old guy wants to turn Justin Long into a walrus. So that's the premise of the movie right there. Um, so I really dug this flick. It's very bizarre, and it goes from almost absurdist comedy over the top to some horrific stuff. The premise itself is absurd, but um, how it's portrayed, how a lot of it portrayed, is very horrific. Justin Long does a great job playing an asshole and playing someone being turned into a walrus. I don't know how else to put it. Um, and excuse me, Mr. Michael Parks. I was going to say Howard because his name is Howard Howe in the movie, but it's Michael Parks. He's fantastic, especially in one scene where he's trying to deceive the police. Um, so he's playing. So the character. So Michael Parks is playing Howard Howe, playing some rube, so he can deceive the police, and he's absolutely fantastic in that scene. Uh, and the character of Howard Howe goes from just bizarre to menacing to just completely off his rocker and back to menacing again, and just very well played. And there are some very funny things. There are some very freaky things. There are some gross things. Um, and there's character development. We actually see there's some flashback ish kind of things. Well, there are flashbacks, but when it comes to Justin Long's character, there are flashbacks that only go like a day before the events of the movie started. Um, so, but his girlfriend is played by Genesis Rodriguez. She's reminiscing about the guy she fell in love with. Justin Long's character's name is Wallace. Get it? Wallace? Walrus? Um, and so she's reminiscing about the guy that he used to be, the Wallace that she fell in love with. And so we get hints that he wasn't always this douchebag character, but sort of fame and money and things have gone to his head. And he says to her, basically, The guy that you fell in love with was a loser, and now I'm a winner because people like this shit that I do. So there is character development in this bizarre movie, um, which shouldn't surprise me. As I said, I like Kevin Smith's movies, and he does write some amazing characters. He writes great dialogue. Excuse me, there's some wonderful dialogue again, some very heartfelt dialogue, some very absurd dialogue. Uh, the special secret guest star, whose name is not in the credits, um, has a very it's an over the top kind of role. I don't think that he necessarily plays it over the top because he could have gone even further with it. Um, but it's a bizarre character with bizarre mannerisms and a bizarre way of speaking. And I don't mean the accent, just the way he talks. Um, I love the character, and it's just such a weird the way Kevin Smith put these just weird elements, disparate elements into the movie. But it all works. It's definitely not for everybody because it is such a strange film. Um, Sort of a if Kevin Smith had made this Human Centipede kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I think it works. I like it. The performances are fantastic. Um, the music, I love the way the music works in this movie. The score and the songs that are chosen to be played. And of course, at some point, you got to have the Fleetwood Mac song Tusk. But when it's used, it's very effective. Um, so it all comes together. And there's a few little cameos for people who know things. There are people in this movie that might not be recognizable to everybody, but say people who are fans of Kevin Smith or certain other things, I think will recognize some of the people that have little parts in this movie. Um, but yeah, so Tusk, I say if you want something different, if you're a Kevin Smith fan, if you liked Red State, if you liked Red State, you may like this one because that was definitely a departure from Kevin Smith's other stuff. But I thought that was a great movie as well. Um, so, I mean, if you're looking for typical Kevin Smith, you're not going to find it here. A little bit of it. I mean, it seems obvious to me that it's a Kevin Smith movie. There are just things that he does, the way he writes, and his characters and things. Um, but it's certainly not a Jay and Silent Bob, one of the Jersey movies. Um, so if you look at those, and then what a big step Red State was, this is an even bigger step. But if you follow him along, his the Kevin Smith trajectory of movies, I think you might enjoy this. If you're a horror fan who doesn't mind some, I tend to think that horror fans are more open to the bizarre. That's not necessarily true. That's just my opinion. So I think horror fans will dig this maybe more so than Kevin Smith fans. The general Kevin Smith fan who isn't necessarily a horror fan, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's Tusk. It's great. Check it out. And that is movie number 12 for this 2016 horror movie marathon fest. And I don't think I mentioned the reason I watched this today is because I was reminded by my buddy Larry Phillips. Shout out to Larry Phillips. He reminded me today that I needed to watch this movie. So thank you, Larry. I enjoyed it very much. And I have no idea what I'm going to watch tomorrow. Maybe Larry will have some other ideas for me. But no matter what, I will watch something, and I will see you tomorrow.